Hello everybody, welcome to the Allied Health Virtual Conference 2017. This is Progressing Your Practice session 1. We'll just wait a couple of moments before we get started. Okay, I think we'll just get started. Thank you very much for joining us. So warm welcome to everyone, whether you're watching this live or via the recording. Thank you for joining us, and especially a warm welcome to those joining us again that attended our last series. So this session is Progressing Your Private Practice, session 1. The next session is on Thursday, 3 o'clock Brisbane time. So join us for that. Today we have 4 speakers. The first speaker is Cathy Love from Nacre Consulting. Speaker 2 is Karina Falent from Pro Assist. Speaker 3 is Chris McCarroll from Allied Health Marketing, and speaker 4 is Petra Zink from Impact. So just a little bit of housekeeping before we get going. Please don't use the Q&A function. This will not be monitored during these events. If you have questions, we certainly encourage questions. The chat function is a great way to ask any of the panelists your questions. Unless it's inappropriate for some reason, the panelists will hold all the questions until the end of their presentation, just to make sure that we're not going to run out of time. So please be aware that we are on a strict timeline. We're all very time poor, but all the speakers certainly do welcome your questions, and you can directly contact them. Your information is in the pack. So participants should be on mute throughout. If for some reason that isn't the case, please mute yourself. And also please make sure that you're respectful in your communication with your colleagues and your peers, and remain appropriate at all times. We certainly do reserve the right to remove you from the webinar at any time. All right, so without further ado, I might introduce our first speaker. That's Cathy Love. So Cathy is an allied health business coach, an occupational therapist, a speaker and an author. After owning her own paediatric private practice in Melbourne for many, many years, she changed direction and started coaching. So Cathy is the founder of Nacre, N-A-C-R-E Consulting. Have a look over on her website for more information, and I'll send it over to you now, Cathy. Thank you so much. Cathy, you're on mute.
Hello everybody, it's Cathy Love here. I'm just going to do a little bit of magic behind the scenes so that we have some slides for you. There you go. That's even more exciting than before. Welcome, and kudos to you for investing in your management selves. And I understand that this particular virtual conference is really geared towards business owners who have been on the private practice adventure for 5 years or more. So yeah, I've got some good and interesting ideas that I'm really keen to share with you. So yeah, thanks. I am an OT. I've had a large private practice, which I sold a few years ago, and I now work exclusively as an allied health business coach, in particular helping private practitioners run powerful and profitable businesses. So yep, jump on the website and you'll find out all about all of that. So I'm thinking that you guys listening and watching this, this episode, if you like, will have perhaps a bit of a team in place already. You'll have a bookkeeper, you might have some admin support, You may have some clinical team members, or you may be thinking about bringing those people in, because I'm hoping that you've had some really lovely growth in those first few years of business. You may even find yourself in a business that you didn't anticipate when you first sort of started. So I hope you've had the growth that you really wanted. And I guess this section on business planning is running on the assumption that you perhaps have a plan in place. It just may be not as loved and as used as it could have been. But I'm thinking the document that you hustled up because a few people said it was a good idea has got some information in it about the financial side of things. Hopefully it's got a budget in there as well. Hopefully it's got some forecasting about what the rest of the year ahead is like. You may even have some provision in there for loan and overdraft. That might have been a big driver for you to get all that financial chapter of your business plan done. I'm hoping that it's got some information about your team, your clinical team, your admin, your finance, your advisory team, and it might also have some sort of some good solid guessing for who will be coming into your team next and how you're going to support and grow your team. So perhaps some professional development policies and procedures are sort of sidelined to the plan as well. I'm hoping your plan has also got lovely, lovely glossy details about the products that you sell and the pricing that you have against them. Not just your current ones. I'm hoping you're also thinking about developing some other products, maybe even some more passive income or reoccurring income products as well. Often when you've been in private practice for a little while, you've had your ears open and you're very mindful about what's missing in the marketplace and also what your current clients are really keen to get that perhaps nobody else is doing just yet. So I'm thinking that plan, it might be tucked away as a Word document, it might be gathering dust somewhere. And I wish we were all in the room together, because then I would be able to ask you this question about how you actually use your business plan and whether it is a living, breathing document. And that's what I really like to see, that it's printed out and it's bashed and battered and it's got coffee stains, good chance it's got wine stains on it, and that it really is there as your roadmap for where you're wanting your business to go. So yeah, you're a couple of years in and you've got a sense of your numbers and you've got a sense of the patterns. I'm sure you're checking in on profit and loss statements every month, even if you don't want to. You might have had some experience already of engaging staff, engaging team, and you've probably got an eye out for who you want to bring in next. So you've also, 5 years in, you've seen a fair bit of change in the marketplace as well. I suspect you might have a little bit more competition than when you first started, and you may be kind of positioning a little bit with some of your referral partners. All of this stuff is really, really good commentary to include in your business plan, because it is somewhat of a historical document. You can go back and review it and think, oh my goodness, we've moved on from there, or oh gosh, we never got round to doing that as well. So it's okay to be adding to it as you're going along. In particular, I really like this business planning bit of owning a business, so that you can sort of think and reflect back on the last couple of years to really inform the sort of business you want to have in 1 year's time, 3 years' time, 5 years' time. For some reason, we always seem to pick odd numbers, but 5 years in, you've got enough data to be making some really, really good, solid guesses, certainly at what you want the next 12 months to look like, and also what you want the next 3, 5, whatever years to look like as well. I wonder if some of you listening to this, this recording are also thinking that you might want to sell it. Even if you don't want to sell it in the next 1 or 2 years, you might be starting to think a lot more strategically about building a business that you do want to sell in 5 or 10 years' time. And that was certainly my private practice adventure when I started working with a coach who sort of said, you've got an asset here, build it like you mean to proceed, build it so that you sell it. And that meant that I really took my business planning a lot more seriously. I'm just going to energize you for 30 seconds about why you need a plan. I suspect you all know why you need a plan, but it's very much the sat nav. We all have our own definitions of success, and we all have different ways of how we want to get there. Getting all of those thoughts out of our head into a business plan really helps us set our goals, set our projects. It makes eating the elephant so much more palatable because we can eat it bite by bite. Helps with our decision making, and it also helps us understand what we shouldn't be doing that is just a little bit out of scope from where we've decided that we want to go. It's also essential if you're looking at joint ventures, partnerships, or you're wanting to secure finance to perhaps fast track your business growth a little bit as well. But you guys know all of that. I just needed to have that in there. There's a whole lot of different ways of having a business plan. If I was to look over to my right, my business plan is 2 big posters. They're over on the wall there. I really like that they're visual. I like that I can get up and look at them a couple of times a day and check in on some details I might be unsure about. I know other people that have got big hefty documents. I know other colleagues and clients who have a one-pager as well. Equally valid, it's what you need for your business. I know of a colleague who has her business plan set up in Trello, which is an online to-do list. And for her, that's visual. She can move things around. She can bring team members in to action up some of the activities as well. Please make sure that you do include a financial chapter to your business plan, because that's not always the bit we're most comfortable with, and it's nearly always the bit that gets left out. Work with your bookkeeper and accountant to get that chapter in. Even if it's a little rough and not 100% accurate, get your numbers in and learn your numbers. So important to improve our financial fluency and our financial confidence. I'm just quickly going to drop this slide in because this is a really, really useful tool that I love using. The business model canvas, a shared language for describing, visualizing, assessing and changing business models. I use this when I'm wanting to develop a new product. I will actually print off the form, I go back to the prompting questions, and it gives me a really fantastic snapshot based on 9 different blocks that make up the business model. And so, yeah, very powerful tool. I prefer to use it in-house for project evaluation rather than a business plan, but I know of people who also use it as a business planner as well. Quite a high-level one. You'd certainly have a lot of work to drill down through each of the 9 boxes. But you guys are mature business owners. This could be something that helps you get some leverage out of your intellectual property, perhaps. All right, so this is the crunch slide. This is the one that we all stumble over. And it's one thing to have a business plan. It makes us feel quite businesslike and quite the boss person, but it is quite another to make it spring to life. And you've all heard the old saying that we need to be working on our businesses, not just in our businesses. And for me, my business plan gets done because I divide it into projects and I allocate projects across weeks and months of the year, and I bring in team and different levels of accountability to get all of that stuff done. If I had to do it all on my own, that would be very sad and very frustrating for everybody involved. So I break it into achievable bits and bring in team to do it. There is some theory. I know certainly what my business coach would say, that you need to be spending potentially 4 hours a week working on your business rather than in it. So I hope that we are all working towards that sort of half-day mark per week. And hopefully it's in daylight and it's not always in midnight management, as I call it. Business is a team sport, and already through this conversation, I've sort of started to allude to the fact that a business plan can be implemented by more than one person, i.e. yourself, and that it's absolutely critical, really, to bring the people you need for each aspect of your business plan. So I sort of mentioned a little while back about the financial chapter that we're often a little reluctant to jump into. Work it up with your bookkeeper, work it up with your accountant, and keep it on the agenda monthly, quarterly. Keep that budget checking on the agenda. It's totally fine to ask for help with all of this stuff. It's a pretty rare beast to find the allied health professional who loves the finances as well. They are out there. Think about the product development and the current products and the ones that you want to develop. Who have you got in your business already that you can delegate some of that to? Who might you need to bring in from outside the business to implement that part of the business plan? Often things like a website are part of a business plan, and that may be something that you don't want to build yourself. In fact, I would strongly recommend that you don't. So you're going to have to bring in someone like Chris or another Webby or a graphic designer or a consultant to work through the content and the visual and the functionality and ultimately the purpose of that as well. There are so many kind of different parts of the business plan that really need a team, really need a team. And I don't know the size of the team that you've got under the roof of your business, but have a bit of a think. Clinicians can play a part in implementing your business plan. They may be up for some product development. They may be able to work with you to bring in some customer satisfaction data. They may have some ideas for nifty little products that aren't too hard to develop or might be new, or that you could pilot with some other partnerships that you've got in your neighborhood. But at the end of the day, you are only delegating. As the owner of the business, you have that final say. You own that bottom line as to the information that your team bring in, that you've got to kind of wrangle together to keep that plan moving forward day by day, week by week, month by month. That's how plans get done. They don't all get done in one hit. It's very much an all day, everyday thing. Just keep in mind that sort of half day a week, that maybe that 4 hours a week to work on your business. That's when you're going to be doing some of this business plan implementation work. And I guess some of the magic happens if you can sort of, time sequence some of the projects that you need to get done, rather than think I've got to work on my business plan. Well, it's November, I'm working on my website in November, and just make it so achievable. Bring it right down to those goals. We're so good at writing goals, we just forget to write them for ourselves and our businesses as well. All right, so it's a team sport. Build the team around you, use them, lead them, and call them to account, and remind them that they're wonderful. All right, management, mindset, and habits. When I see this slide, one thing springs to mind: the most amazing book. And it would be a really good thing to have this book within reach right now, but I do happen to know that it's called The One Thing, and it's by Gary Keller. It is by far and away one of the best books I've ever come across in regards to mindset and habits, and helping you focus and be productive, and dispelling some of those weird and unusual business myths that still drive so much of our thinking. So yeah, that is a book that I absolutely adore. It's a book I probably jump into at least once a week. I'm probably on my third version of it, because my other copies have fallen to bits, or I've handed them on to people. So it is a festival of highlighter notes and post-it notes and all the rest of it. So I guess this management mindset is to really remind you that you hopefully have not bought yourself a job, and that you really have a beautifully managed and assertively led private practice that is working towards your definition of success. And I really hope that you are running the business, and that the business isn't running you. And from what my experience has been, one of the deal breakers in private practice success is very much the management mindset, and really having beautiful, beautiful, solid alignment with your personal, professional, and your business values, and being able to illustrate that beautifully to your clients, and having products that are high quality, high value, really well priced. I know sometimes we're kind of at the market's dictation for what we can charge, but to just really be able to have some time somewhere in your week, somewhere in your fortnight, that you are checking yourself in as the business owner and doing what you need to do to develop a growth mindset. You might want to read Carol Dweck's beautiful books. You might want to check in with Gary Keller. I think I raved about Simon Sinek on the last webinar I did. He's also great with Start for the Why, which is also very much about mindset and values. And when you've got that stuff in place, it becomes a little more palatable to actually start to practice and build some habits. I think they say it's 100 days for a habit, and you want to be developing very positive, optimistic habits. I'm sure many of you have heard me speak about a default diary, but that's one of the best ways of getting those hours to work on your business. You book appointments with yourself to check on your plan, make sure that you're working towards it, have got clear strategies for how to implement your business plan, that you've got a really good team approach to progress, and that you're delegating and managing deliverables on that assertively and confidently as well. And to really look at what you have to do weekly, fortnightly, monthly, quarterly, annually in terms of bringing this business plan to life all the way through. So I guess, yeah, I've rabbited on about some of those big authors, but it does, from what I've seen, largely come back to how you are allocating your time across clinical, management and leadership. I like to add leadership on the end because sometimes it gets a little bit forgotten. So I'm going to leave you with that whopping big, bold question about how you're using your time. Have you got time in your schedule to develop your management mojo and develop your management mindset? And is that new learning really settling into optimistic habits? And yep, as an outcome, progressing your business. So quietly on your own, you'll probably listen to this late at night, quietly on your own, I would love to encourage you to bring up two or three things that have been interesting about what I've said, 2 or 3 things that you're going to act on. There may even be 2 or 3 things you don't like, and that's equally as important as the takeaways, as we call it. So I'm just going to give you 10 seconds of peace while you contemplate that. I've got to count to 10. I'm sure that's about 10. And don't be a stranger. Over in the goodies bag are some PDFs and so on and so forth. Don't be shy. Shout out. Not a problem at all for you to pick my brains whenever you feel that I may have part of a solution to what you need in your business right now. These are my details. And thank you. And lots of love and business luck for your private practice.
Thanks so much, Cathy. It's always inspirational and fantastic to hear you speak. It's no wonder you've moved into coaching. It's obviously a natural skill that you have. So thank you. I was wondering, we haven't got any questions come through as yet, but I was wondering, selling the business, how would growing your business for the purpose of selling it differ to perhaps the normal growth? And I know that that's going to be different for everybody, but I was interested to hear your take.
Within the context of individual private practice differences, my experience and that of colleagues and clients has been the activities that you need to do for growth are virtually identical and aligned to what you might need to do to sell your business. With the one difference that if you're building to sell, you will be from the first day managing yourself out of the business.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds great, doesn't it?
Sounds like the dream. And
yeah.
We're often so emotionally and egotistically attached to our business that getting yourself out of the business and not having value to your business is quite hard, but it's a little bit like, it's a bit addictive. Once you get the hang of it, you just can't get yourself out there quick enough.
And it also sounds to me that it's really closely aligned with your management mindset, and then therefore also your personal definition of success too. Yeah.
But there's lots of ways to be right, and I think it's really important to acknowledge that as well. And I can think of businesses that have been grow, and then the offer for someone to buy it, and the whole thing just flipped in 2 or 3 months. So the growth strategies ultimately are absolutely critical towards your version of success. But I'd like to seed the idea that you just don't know who is around the corner who may be interested in purchasing your assets.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a business owner, you never know what's around the corner as it is. So All right. Thank you so much, Cathy.
Pleasure.
That was fantastic. Lovely to hear from you. All righty. So we'll just stop sharing your, there we go. Alrighty, next up we have Karina Falent. So Karina describes herself as a virtual clinic architect, which I love. She has an extensive background in administration and innovative systems and ensuring business efficiency. So she's founded ProAssist at the end of 2015, and she specialises in healthcare practices. So over to you, Karina. Welcome.
Hello there. Thank you for having me today. I am so excited to present to you. Like Serena said, I am the virtual clinic architect of ProAssist. From the name, you might guess that I take up the administrative or the process side of allied health practices that we work with for a number of reasons. Sometimes the administration has gotten too much for the practitioner to take on. Sometimes they're on the verge of up-leveling into investing in a team to come and work in the clinic. So there's different reasons why people come to work with us. One of the other things is the automation that we can offer to you. So today's presentation is going to be about automation and some ideas that you can implement into your business that involve tech and don't involve tech as well, and that can really make your business more saleable, like Cathy was speaking about before, and to even help you manage yourself out of your business if that's what your goal is. Okay, so automation is a really popular buzzword, and it's been floating around for some time now. And some people have really taken the concept of automation and run with it, and they are enjoying long walks on the beach while their team is singing to their clients. And others have kind of thought of the idea of automation to be too scary to tackle. So they're still almost doing things the hard way because they're just not sure of what step to take next. And sometimes people don't necessarily know why they should do automation. So not everyone has set out to conquer the world and create big, massive clinics that have a global presence. Some people just want to make a difference in their community, but they don't want to work hard for it. They don't want to spend all of their free time doing such admin tasks. So I want to stress that it's never too early to invest in automation, and it's never too late as well. Obviously, the earlier that you do it, the better. But if you've created an empire and you feel like it's going to be too hard to kind of reinvent everything and put it into something that's automated, it's not too big of a task. It's not as hard as how it seems. Okay, so I'm just going to share the presentation so you can kind of follow along here. So I want to ask you, you can put it into the chat notes, how do you create a business that grows without you? If you've tried things and they haven't worked for you, share them as well, because failure is all part of the learning. If you've tried something and it has been absolutely amazing and you would do it over and over again, then definitely share that for us. So I want to paint a picture of what a business growing without you actually looks like. So in a literal sense, it might mean that on initial contact, your potential clients have a full understanding of your business and what you offer, and they're equipped with all the information they need to make a decision to work with you. Potentially, your clients could be screened to make sure that they are the right fit for your business. So if you want to make sure, if you want to only focus in say a certain niche area, you can set up your information so people know when it's right to work with you. All of the information that you or your team needs to see a client is available before the client comes and walks through your door for a treatment. A beautiful one is that you get paid automatically, which everyone loves. And people are hearing about your business from multiple sources and not just from you. So how do we achieve that? And my short answer is systems. To me, systems and automation are one and the same. You can't have a system without some form of automation, and you can't have automation without some kind of system. Now, most people put off implementing any systems and automation because of the tech component, but it isn't always about tech. I'm going to talk you through one automation that I actually find is really important, especially if you are at the stage of hiring a team or maybe retraining a team to be more aligned with your business goals. A business coach once told me that if my business stops running when I stop running it, then I'm not running a business, I'm running a hobby. Now, that statement really resonated with me, and it really drove home the importance of automation. So let's jump into where do you start? What I like to tell my clients is it's not about the software, it's about your core values and your mission. So you need to find something that works for you, find something that puts together everything that you're all about. I find the common thing that people try to do when they're starting their automation journey is try to find the software or the system first and then try to make that fit their clinic. Now, that's not going to work entirely well because your technical side of things will be covered, but it won't encompass everything into it. So you need to have kind of a holistic approach to automating your business. What I referred to before was kind of a soft system. And what I mean is that it's something that's not tech-based. It's something that's ingrained into you and your business. And what that is the core values. So how you want your business to be run, how do you want your clients to feel, what do you want your business to represent to the outside world. So a form of automation is putting systems, policies in place so that you and your team represent these core values, and it just happens automatically. So it doesn't matter if you're in the clinic or you are away, everyone will be treated the same, everyone will feel the same, and the practice will have that same vibe over and over again. Okay. So we've talked about the importance of automating that soft side of your business. So I want to talk to you now about what everyone thinks about when they think about automation, the systems and that meaty side of it. So the things that I recommend that you automate in your business are getting a client portal, email marketing, invoicing and payment, social media, onboarding, and getting a practice management system that kind of brings that all together. So client portals, not many people have them, but there are some great software pieces that do offer this opportunity. So the beauty of a client portal is that it can reduce the admin load by giving clients ability to access their key information and also maybe update their personal details as well. So we're thinking here reducing phone calls, reducing backwards and forwards information, and increasing the reliability of the information you have on file. It also can keep all your communications in one place. So if they need to see multiple therapists throughout their visit with your clinic, they can quickly pick it up and see how their journey has progressed. So client portals are a really cool thing to think about. Email marketing, whether you're doing it or whether you aren't, you probably should think about automating it in so email marketing can be used for many different things. Some of my clients just use it to keep in touch with their current clients and send out really useful information, such as resources or events that they've got happening. You don't need to put a lot of time into this, so you can use programs like Aweber that gets your pre-existing content and puts it into a pre-designed newsletter, so that can just kind of go out on autopilot for you. Invoicing and payment. So everyone loves to get paid. So if you haven't invested in a practice management, a bookkeeping system, I recommend that you do. Try to get one that hooks into a practice management system if you've got it, so it's all in one place, and again, that automation is carried through. Put your debt collection on autopilot. No one likes to have that yucky conversation about chasing up money, so you can get your system to do that for you. And don't give your clients an excuse not to pay you. So offer payment portals that enable them to pay you by credit card or high caps, or if you don't have any of that available, you can use something like Square to get paid, and then you can hook that into your practice management software so it all just happens seamlessly. Social media is probably something that every client wants me to focus on. It seems to be an ever-changing battlefield out there, and you can definitely get sucked into the social media wormhole. What I recommend that you do to automate your social media is to spend a couple of hours a month curating your content. If you've got the ideas but don't know how to execute it, you can get someone like myself to put the content into the real world, and we can schedule it using a program like Edgar or Buffer. Now, the beauties of these programs are that it constantly recycles your content. So you might produce, say, 6 months of content, and then once your program has reached the end of its buffer, it will just keep recycling that content. So it looks like fresh content is being put out all of the time. So that's definitely a fun automation that saves you a lot of time. Practice management software. This is my specialty. I love it, and I could talk all day about it. But if you don't have this, and I hope you do have a system, a practice management system like Clinico, HealthKit, or Core Plus can really transform your business and open you up to some different automations. So in this presentation, I'm talking about some pretty simple automations, but the beauty of having a practice management system is that you can then harness the power of third-party apps to collate all of the data from your system and then use it in a more powerful, automated way. So something like Clinique apps, if you ever get time to research it, really hooks into these programs and can drive your recall rates and help you market your business on a much higher level. So the last one is client onboarding. So every client that I work with, we work to automate their client onboarding process. It's generally the time where you're spending the most time making sure clients come in with all of the relevant information that you need. Often there's a lot of questions going backwards and forwards, and it's by onboarding them in the same way over and over, everyone understands how it works, and you can then work for it to, you don't even have to touch the system once you've got it set up. So the key points of the onboarding: make sure all that your forms are all electronic. That does two things. So it makes you get the information from your client before they step into your clinic, and it also helps to minimize the administration work at the other end. So there's no typing documents back up into the practice management system, or trying to confidentially manage the document once it's in your clinic. So I'm going to go into client onboarding and just show you the automation that I implement into my client businesses to onboard this process. So there's a favorite quote of mine, and it says, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel." And you should remember this when you are running an automation. You don't want to make a client feel like they're dealing with a robot. You don't want to make them feel like they're just being treated like everybody else. You want to make them feel special, and you want to make sure that things happen in a timely process, which is more what the automation is all about. So how do you automate your onboarding process? So you build a truly informative website. You can go as far as offering online bookings and, like I said before, making your forms electronic. And you can build some automated email sequences to keep up that client nurturing sequence before and after they've visited your clinic. So to build a truly informative website, what do you need and what's its purpose? So the purpose is, like we said before, what a clinic looks like when it's operating without you. A client is fully informed about what you're all about before they step into your clinic. So by having a website that you can redirect them to that has things like your funding information, fact sheets that are relevant to your industry, relevant forms that you want them to complete, and the policies and procedures that are relevant to them, they are fully aware and have a good picture of what it's going to be like to work with you. It also makes you look really professional as well, which when you're growing your practice, that's quite important. Making your forms electronic. This is a huge time saver, and it's a great step in the automation process. So things like services agreements, when you're getting clients to sign them, there's often a lot of printing and scanning involved with that, and often clients just don't send it back because it seems too hard. So it might go some time without you actually receiving it. By having it electronic, you can send it to their email. You can set a workflow to send it to them automatically with a nice tailored message. And then you can set it to remind them when they haven't sent it back. Things like new client forms, you can get patient history from them. All of this happens without you even having to think about it. As soon as your receptionist has booked in a new client in the system, you can trigger all of this to happen automatically for you. I've put up, if you can see, there's a Clinico, there's the online bookings portal here that your clients will see. And there's a little example of a form there as well. If you're not totally convinced by offering online bookings, that's totally okay. It's, you don't have to do it. It's not everyone's perfect solution. I know some clients that only offer it when they've been working with clients for quite a while. The clients that I've personally worked with have seen an increase in their booking rates when they have offered online bookings. So there is definitely some opportunities there to introduce some really good automation. Okay. And then we're moving into the email sequence. So once the client has booked an appointment with you, then we want to start a nurturing sequence, and that happens before they've even come to your clinic. So remember about your core values and missions. We're embedding them right here. We're being helpful for the client. We're giving as much information as we can to them, and we're really nurturing them through to possibly stay with our clinic longer. So you can set up these automated emails either in your practice management software, or you can hook them into a third party such as MailChimp. And what I recommend is that you have a welcome email, that you have a follow-up email that's sent 1 to 2 days prior to their appointment. You get a follow-up email after their visit, and then another email sometime after that, possibly a fortnight, just to remind them if that you're thinking about them, and to ask them a really powerful question, which I will show you in a little bit. I also recommend on a regular basis to remember important information. So remember, we are collecting dates like their birthday. So use that information to send them important happy birthday emails, just to show that extra level of that you care. And again, you can set that up without you having to even think about it. So it's just a nice little tick in your care list. Okay, so what does the confirmation email include? So it includes your the details that of their appointment. You can summarize what they've said to you on the phone to show that you understand what they're all about. Giving them some details about how to get there. So I operate a virtual reception service, and the excuses I have heard for people not coming to appointments is quite laughable. One is, I didn't get off the tram at the right stop, or I didn't know that I had to pay for parking, so I've had to drive around and find a free car parking spot. So here is the chance to kind of answer all of their questions in advance and increase their chances of actually coming into your business. If you need them to bring any extra information, such as their referral form, or you can remind them to do their new client forms, this is the perfect time to do it as well. Okay. Then you need to send a reminder. So 1 to 2 days before the appointment, send them another email that says, can't wait to see you in 24 hours. Remind them of their appointment details again. If you have a cancellation policy, put that in this section as well to really solidify that if they are not going to attend, you might have to charge them a fee for it. Again, if there's anything that kind of comes up, such as they don't know how to get there or they don't know what to bring, include that in this email as well. Then after the appointment, send them a nice little follow-up email. So if your business gives them resources to review, then you can put that into this email. It just shows that extra level of it's not just all about the appointment. You might be thinking about them when they're at home too. Also remind them to book. Sometimes people get busy and they forget that they have to book. So putting in links or reminders to call you and make a booking are really powerful, and they can really increase your automation rates. And the progress update. So at around 1 to 2 weeks after the initial appointment with you, you can send them another email to say, I hope you're really tracking along well. Invite them to like you on your social pipe. So if you post things on Facebook, invite them to like your Facebook page. Tell them that's where you share all of your helpful tips and information. And then you get a chance to remain connected to them. Also ask them to refer their friends and family. Your business thrives on referrals. So ask them, you haven't got anything to lose, and remember you're showing them a truly awesome experience through this process. So they're going to love telling all their friends how different your business is to everyone else's. And the beauty is you're really not doing anything extra to show all this extra value because it's all automated. All right, so the next steps. I've shared some really basic automation tips and tricks with you today. I do urge you to give them a go. If you run into any troubles or you have any questions, I'd love for you to reach out and ask me about them. You can view my contact details on my website, and it has been such a pleasure speaking with you today. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them for you.
Thanks very much, Karina. That was great, and I'm conscious that we have a really wide, varied audience at the moment. So we have solo practitioners right up to business managers that might have multiple sites. So I guess a couple of questions. If I'm a solo practitioner, where would you recommend I start? So I might have been in private practice, working in the community by myself for many, many years. And I guess it's taking that next step.
Absolutely. I always ask my clients what their biggest pain points are, what's kind of keeping them up at night. If they generally, I have a joke with my clients, you get on the couch with Karina and have a bit of a psychology chat. So whatever's keeping you up, if you find that invoicing's keeping you up, or you find that you're just totally disorganized, then focus on that first. If you find that your clients are contacting you from all different avenues and you have no control over them, then you definitely try to get that handled. As I mentioned, I urge everyone to get a practice management system. It will change your business.
And that's where you suggest a solo practitioner to sort of start?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It doesn't have to be a big, scary system. The systems I recommend to beginners are Clinico and HealthKit. healthcare, particularly if you don't have a budget to invest into a practice management system, because it's free.
Great, great. And then consequently, what if I'm a business owner with multiple sites, and I've got some of the basics, say in automation, you know, you might have MailChimp, or you might have an email marketing set up, you might have some of the basics across social platforms, maybe you might have a basic practice management. What would you suggest then, that next level?
Absolutely. So I would visit the business plan that you've written with the lovely Cathy and think about what your goals are next. Great. So if there's a particular thing that's staring you down, so maybe you want to make sure that, if you say maybe all of your clinics are kind of operating differently and you want to make sure that standard feel is across all of your clinics, then you might want to start automating some of the procedures and processes in there.
Yep. And keeping it consistent in terms of communication or whatever it might be across all sites. Yeah,
absolutely.
Great. All right, let me just check that there's no other questions for you. Not that I can see. All right, everybody. Thanks so much, Karina. Fantastic.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. You can certainly contact Karina for all of her details, and she's got a fab offer in the goodie bag. So have a look over at that.
Amazing. Right. Thank you.
Thanks, Karina. Okay, so who's next? Chris McCarroll, my partner in crime. All right, so coming from a varied background in marketing across many of the not-for-profit and commercial companies, he's the founding director of Allied Health Marketing, and Chris specialises in no-nonsense customised marketing for your private practice. Take it away, Chris.
Thank you, Serena. Hi, everyone. And I'd just like to start by saying how amazing the first two presentations were. And I think mine now, excuse me, is absolutely going to link in as a third stage to that. I started in allied health, in the world of allied health marketing about 4 years ago. And it really opened my eyes to the amount of help and the amount of specialized work that is required within the health field. Especially from a marketing point of view, you've got so many regulations that you need to work within, and it's all about how can you be different from the other 7 physios and the other 7 OTs just down the road, and they're all kind of essentially offering the same thing, and how do you stand out? So I originally started working with exercise physiologists, working to try and help them build their brand and build their presence on how to stand out and educate the public on exactly what they do. So that was a bit of an initiation of fire to be able to kind of promote those guys. And from there it's grown, and now we work with solo practitioners and all the way up to practices with 18 staff and 5 locations. So we've got a pretty big hold on what is required from a practice marketing point of view, and there's just so much, and I think it's amazing that people like Cathy and Karina, who are in those spaces and can absolutely offer so much from a business planning point of view, and Karina from an automation point of view, which by the time people come to us, they're either just starting or they're a year in and they're ready to outsource, or they've purchased a business and they've been running from referrals for the last 10 years, and now it's time for them to have a website. So we jump in at many different stages, and today I'm actually going to talk about advertising, which, specializing in allied health, it's very unique. There's a lot of terminology that you need to navigate, so I thought it would be a great topic for us to have a look at today. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay. So I've covered a little bit about myself, originally in fashion and sports marketing. Now my whole business is run in allied health, and absolutely loving it. So advertising for allied health, very tricky to navigate, like I mentioned before. But once you've got the basics right, you'll be fine. There's a lot of things that if you test it, analyze it, repeat, learn from your mistakes, learn from the things that have gone well. It's all about making sure that everything that you do is measurable, and then that you can then report and take action on that afterwards. Everybody will recognize this. Open 24/7 if you run a business. You don't have the luxury of adding an out of office to your email account and progressing on with your life. So people can contact you, like was mentioned before, you know, via email, text, phone, messenger. We even get contact through Instagram. So it's all about then how you manage that process. But as a practice owner, you need to streamline how people contact you, and through the use of advertising and practice automation, that's absolutely, you're in control, and it's a really great way to be able to manage that process. So firstly, I'd like to have a little bit of a look at where to start. So before we do anything, before we create any types of ads, we look at exactly how to speak. So how do your clients or potential clients want to be spoken to? What are their pain points? What do we need to be addressing for them? What are they searching for? Is absolutely one of the key ones. We need to know what they're actually searching, so then we can place advertising strategically in those areas. Their location. If being a clinic, you will generally have a physical location. So that is pretty much a no-brainer there, but it's more about where are your clients hanging out? So are they, you know, they may live close by to you, but where are they actually coming from? So understanding a little bit about that, and what are their online behaviors, and where do they spend their time? Do they spend their time on news sites, or do they spend their time scrolling through Facebook? So we need to know exactly where they are in a physical sense and also in a digital sense. Finally, the next step to that is generating your key messages. What's going to resonate with them? What are they going to interact with? And what's going to make them ultimately click? What are they going to be find interesting about you? What content that you are generating, or what headlines that you are generating is actually going to interest them and make them want to connect with you. So the first advertising portal, let's say, that I'd like to have a look at is Google AdWords. It's one of the most popular advertising platforms in the digital space. It's by far the biggest search engine. So naturally, that's where a lot of the money is spent. Just to give you a bit of an overview as to what AdWords is, sometimes people seem to get a little bit confused between AdWords and SEO. So SEO, just to clarify that, SEO is more of the organic reach. It's what generates your organic pages to rise to the top of Google. So the infamous, I need to be #1 on Google. Yes, that's still very important, because now consumers actually understand the world of advertising and understand what the little ad symbol means next to the Google ad. They know that that person has actually paid to be there, and they're not actually ranking #1 organically for what they're searching for. So SEO is very important, and that's something for another day. But AdWords is paid advertising to position yourself at the top of Google. If, depending on how competitive your keywords are, you may not be at the top. There may be 3 of you sitting there. So it's all about, you know, looking at your keywords and making sure that what you're advertising is actually resonating with the person who is searching. So there's a few different types of ads that you can actually run through Google AdWords. Display ads are the most common ads. So they're more of the picture ones that sit at the top of news sites and things like that. So it's a little banner that sits in all sorts of different websites and apps, and you know, it can actually, there's more information, it's clickable. You can use some imagery in there as well. Video ads, relatively new, and everybody knows how annoying they are when you're trying to watch some cat videos on YouTube. Every 30 seconds, you'll then have to watch another ad. So that's, again, run through the Google AdWords network. Search ads is the text and highly affordable and very results-driven advertising option. So this is where your text appears at the top of the Google search with your headline, your description, your location, phone number, and a few bits and pieces like that that you structure. And the other one is a little bit like an audience network. So it works as in-app advertising. So let's say you're playing like a game like Candy Crush, but a free app, and there's little advertising strips at the top and the bottom. That's where you can place your advertising. Again, wary with that one because you need to make sure that you're reaching the right audience. And generally, in my opinion, when someone's playing Candy Crush, they're not looking for an OT. They're not looking for a physio. They're not looking for a podiatrist when they're trying to zone out, or they're on the train or something on the way home. So I don't necessarily think that that's the best approach. But, you know, if the budget permits, a little bit of testing will go very, very far, and you'll be able to see what results you can actually get from that. I love statistics. Here's one for you. So in Google, so the Google AdWords, 2% of the people advertising get 50% of the traffic. This absolutely comes down to making sure that your keywords and your headlines are completely on point. If you're not hitting the message in your headline, then you're not going to get the traffic. You're just going to be wasting your money. So to show you a little bit about what a typical campaign through AdWords will look like, generally you run 2 campaigns. So let's say there might be a knee pain and a hip pain. And then from there, they'll split out into ad groups. So looking at all the different types of dealing with those, with the knee pain and the hip pain. From there, 18 adverts are generated for each of those ad groups. So what that means is there's 18 different variations of the ability to service and help with knee pain and or hip pain. From there, it goes out to 212 keywords. So that might be hip pain Sunshine Coast or hip pain Melbourne, moving through those keywords like that. And then from there, the more sophisticated campaigns will have landing pages, which will then capture patient information or a booking or just an inquiry page or a map page, whatever the call to action is on the adverts. Then on the landing page, you're in full control as to what the user sees. A lot of it is not even directing them to the homepage. Don't go to the homepage. They're just going to get lost and it's just not going to work. So create a page specifically for the ad that you're running. So if they're searching for knee pain and they go to your homepage and you don't have anything on your homepage about knee pain, they're just going to exit. They're not going to be engaged. So you need to make sure that you're directing them directly to a page that services the need for what they're actually searching for. Now, this is a very complex campaign, and after working in the space for quite some time, there's a bit of research at the moment focusing on single ad group campaigns. So rather than having 9 different sets of adverts, it's more about refining and fine-tuning who you're actually wanting to talk to, and then creating single ad group campaigns just with 2 different ads. So very similar to running an A/B test. So some people may be familiar with an A/B test on an email or a landing page. Running 2 emails exactly identical, just with different subject line and a little bit of different content. So it's the same scenario here where we run 2 ad variants. One will have text A and one will have text B. And then what we do is we monitor and see which one is more higher performing than the other. So what that actually looks like is you can see this is a single ad group campaign, which you've got keyword 1 and keyword 2, which will be hip pain and knee pain. And from there, you literally just have 2 adverts coming out. And then we just monitor. So it's more about being able to see a higher conversion, but also a sale per click. So optimizing for, rather than just generating traffic to your website, which is great, but it's more about generating the traffic into bookings. So we're trying to optimize for sales, not conversions. So what that means is we're kind of forgetting the whole making sure our keywords and placement are the highest, and what we're actually wanting is that we've got our keywords so fine-tuned that we know that when our potential clients are searching for us, we're going to be there, and our messages are completely relevant to what they're looking for. So you can do a lot of the tracking through the Google's value track parameters. You can then just use your findings to calculate which keywords are making you the most money, essentially. This will then allow you to bid more aggressively on those keywords. So it will help you to raise your profile in that space. But by looking at the Google value track, it really tracks everything from geographical location to devices and more. So, you know, it does provide a lot of information. Some users the information is not accessible, so we kind of just work on which users do actually provide us with that information. So we will know where they were searching, what location they were, not the exact location, but what suburb they were in, what device they were using, what time of day it was, how engaged they were in that content, how many pages they looked at, things like that. So we'll know that by the time they've submitted a contact form, we'll know their exact user journey. So if they hit the landing page and they want a little bit more information and went and viewed another page, we'll know that whole process as to what they've gone through. That then obviously helps at the other end when you're looking for, when it either comes into that automation that Karina was talking about earlier, it all kind of makes one big puzzle piece, to connect everything together. So we're generating people into the website, and then once they have committed and once they have booked, it's then what happens after that. So we're just making sure that we're at the top of the funnel, filling the funnel with everything, all of the leads possible. It's more about making sure that those leads are actually qualified, and they're the people that you want to be working with. So you don't want someone who has a sports injury to be going to someone who actually doesn't treat sports injuries. So you need to make sure that in your keyword phase that you're actually satisfying that. Another little stat for everybody is on the average, 5 times as many people read the headline than read the actual body copy. So in Google Ads, that's generally the blue line at the top. People will read that more than actually what's below. So make sure that you invest so much more time into creating your headings rather than spending the time into the description. So we need to capture their attention first and then satisfy their need after that. I've just put together a little sample of what headings might look like, and this is for a little sample OT business working with children and school children. So what we've actually done is developed personas, which again is another step that can be done externally. So we've got a kindy mum and a school mum. They both have different needs, so therefore they're required to be treated differently. So we don't just put one piece of content out and expect to capture all of our target. We need to go down and specify exactly who they are, create them, write their headings and their grab lines, and make sure that what we're actually talking to them about is what they're interested in. So obviously Sally, who is a kindy mum, so it's important to her to get her child ready for school. So the headline is get your child ready for school, handwriting, following instructions and behavior. So it's really simple language, but it hits the point on exactly what your potential client is looking for. Obviously this can be, you know, an enormous process. This is just a bit of a snapshot, but you can get some ideas here as to exactly what the process looks like and how we step out each individual process. So we've developed the persona first, and that's got a whole heap of back-end information in there. So a little bit about, you know, who Sally is and what's her family structure and what does she do on the weekend and things like that. So we create that, and then we then talk to them through the headings and the grab lines, and then obviously from there we then send them to the landing page and the booking page, and then that whole process kicks in. Phone leads. Now, the last part that I want to touch on for Google AdWords is about phone leads. Clinics have a great rate for people actually picking up the phone. Like Karina said before, some practices still don't actually offer online bookings. There is some resistance there for some practices. It may be because they've got an old practice management software in there that's hardwired in, and it's just all too much to move and to change, and they've never kept up with the software licenses, and it's just this huge, big management issue. So that needs to be overcome. And then it's more about when the phone rings, how we capture those people. So using Google Ads, there's a little phone button on there. So when people are on their mobile, they can actually press call. So that to me is an absolute hot lead in terms of sales. So in some business structures, the phone leads can actually be more effective than email leads or generating a booking lead. Statistics do show that phone calls lead to a higher close rate compared to any other type of lead. So it's about 300% more people close over the phone than on email. Even though phone calls can be more profitable, they can be harder to score. So some people will have that resistance to picking up the phone, especially in 2017. Everybody loves to just email or message or whatever. So if you've got someone on the phone, they're engaged, they're ready. So it's more about having those processes in place after you've captured them on the advert to make sure that they're actually being closed at the reception or the practice management level. When you answer the phone, there's, a few different things that you need to identify. So identify whether they are a hot or cold, whether they're just making an inquiry for their mum or their dad, or just kind of sussing out who you are. Or they're hot, they're ready, they're injured, they're ready to go, or there's a problem within their family structure that they want to come and talk to you about. So they're ready to make that appointment now. Then the person on the other end of the phone needs to be ready with their pitch and make sure that they're hitting that pain point that potential client has just mentioned. And then just reassure them that obviously you're not pushing, don't push. Anyway, now I'm kind of moving into a little bit more of a different space. So, it's all about offering them what they want when they want it. So you've captured them using the strategic advertising placements, and then it's over to your practice automation to be able to actually convert that. Okay, another strategy in the world of advertising that I'd like to talk to you about is inbound strategy. Inbound marketing is focused on attracting customers through relevant content and adding value at every stage. So with inbound marketing, potential customers find you through channels like blogs and search engines and social media. But unlike outbound marketing, inbound marketing does not need to fight for potential customers' attention. So we're creating content designed to address the problems and needs of the ideal customer. So you're actually attracting qualified prospects, building trust and credibility for your business. This is what the attraction model looks like. So at the beginning, you have their strangers. Using the attraction model, we're bringing in and using blogs and SEO and social media to be able to then turn those people into visitors. From there, we're looking to convert them. So we're wanting to convert them through the use of forms, through the use of landing pages and some call to actions. From there, we need to move them to leads. So whether that's picking up the phone, sending an email, or being added to our CRM system. So by submitting a form, they'll automatically get added. We then want to move them through to customers. And then it moves to the point of delighting. So once they are a client, we need to make sure that their whole experience is exactly what they had intended or what they had expected from us. So we do that through making sure that we actually understand what our clients are wanting from us and how we're actually performing. And all of this continual circle comes around to whatever the outputs are from surveys or some feedback, then goes straight back into the beginning, and we address those, and the whole process starts again. So along the top there, you can actually see that we've got the 4 phrases: attract, convert, close, delight, that turn strangers into customers and promoters. Essentially, those people, it's word of mouth. So the promoters section there is word of mouth, and how a lot of allied health businesses grow from the very beginning. Okay, now I want to just dive deep into the 4 different methodologies. So the first one is the attraction. You don't just want anyone coming to your site. You want people who are most likely to become leads and ultimately happy customers. So how do you get them? It's more about attracting the right customers with relevant content at the right time. So when they're actually looking for it. Blogging. So inbound marketing does start with content. I know content can be a little bit of a dirty word for practices because content means time. And time is something that we all don't have. So that can actually be outsourced to a point. But like I say to a lot of my clients is you're actually the expert in that field. We can write, we can develop the content, but it absolutely has to come from you. You need to give the outlines and the professional and the expert opinion in those pieces. It can't be created for you unless you have a content writer who is actually a qualified practitioner in your field. So the content strategy part of this is when the customer is beginning their buying process from you online. So there's a lot of offline things that we could touch on, but we're just going to stick with the digital stuff today. But it's all about the beginning and how they're introduced to you online. So they might be searching for something that they had a question about. So you need to make sure that you're showing up when they search for it. That's done through things like SEO and placing some adverts. And the next part of that is social media. So successful inbound strategies are all about that remarkable content, and social media allows you to share that value, engage with your prospects. It puts a human face to your brand, which, as many allied health professionals, you can't use some forms of building trust like testimonials. So you need to be able to have a face to your brand that people can connect with and engage with, so that they've developed a bit of trust to begin with. The next stage that we go through is converting. So, once you've attracted a website visitor, the next step is to convert those visitors into leads. So you can do this by opening up a conversation in whatever way works best for them. And however they've come to you, then you'll be able to just decide exactly how to communicate with them. And you can continue to answer their questions at each point of the journey. So whether that's from a form that they've filled out, they can submit their information. Then you can actually optimize the form to automate the rest of the journey for them. Meetings or, a booking, ideally you want them to come in and book online once you have actually attracted them in. You then want to turn them into someone who's inquired and does actually place a booking. From there, you can move them into a CRM system if they don't place a booking, and also if they do, so then you can track and manage the whole rebooking process and look at your percentages of the actual ability to continually rebook, and who's just coming in once and why they're just coming in once, and actually have a look at that from a practice management point of view. The next part of the journey is the closing. So that's what I was just talking about once you actually have their inquiry, or once you have actually spoken to them, and it's about turning them into a customer. So just nurturing them. So if they haven't actually booked at this point, it's all about continually providing them the content that they need in their life. So you're actually trying to prove to them that you are the right person for them, and delivering continuous content through social and email and searching is absolutely so like that. So if they may go away for a week, they may go on holidays, they might come back, and then they'll see something on social media about an article that you've just written that hits their pain point, and then they're back again. So they're back in that attraction part of the model, and then they move through the process again. And the last part is delight. So it's all about providing that remarkable experience, like I said before. Then they have, such high expectations of your business and how they're going to be treated. So it's even more important to engage with them, delight them, make your customers successful, make their journey successful. From there, they will come back, they will stay longer, they will refer their friends, and they'll be happy to tell the world that they love you. Okay, so the next part here is just a little bit about creating marketing that people love. So it's about being at the right place at the right time and providing them the right content. So you're not interrupting their life with the content, you're actually providing them something that they need. Okay, so I'm quickly just going to run through, I know I'm running a little bit over time here, but I'm just going to run through some social media advertising because, you know, everybody's done it. Everybody's dabbled a little bit in it. So I just kind of wanted to demyth a few different things just around Facebook, especially around boosting posts versus actually creating an advert. So boosting a post, everybody's probably seen a little blue button in the corner saying, you know, boost this post. It allows you to quickly create a Facebook ad using a current post that you've just used. So if you've created a piece of content through social media to service Sample Sally that we spoke about earlier, and it's now on your Facebook page, this is what would come up. So it would give you the option to actually boost that post. It can appear in different places on Facebook, and you can show it to an audience of people that you define. Boosting a post from your business page is pretty quick and easy to get your content out to people who might be interested. It's generally used for grabbing some quick engagement, so some likes and some shares and some comments on the content that you've created. You can target the audience. You can define a new audience based on things that the content is actually addressing. You can also create custom audiences based on your contacts. So your email databases, you can actually import them into Facebook and target those people who are actually on your email list. Facebook actually lets you advertise through Instagram, desktop, mobile. It's all broken out, so you can actually choose if you only want to do mobile. So say, for instance, if you're looking to target mums who might be waiting in the car to pick up children, so you need to define that time, and they're not going to be on their desktop at that time. They're going to be on their mobile device. So that's how you look at putting content in front of people at the right time in the right place. It allows you to, you know, customize your budget as well at this point. So you can pay to boost the post. You know, you can go from $1 a day, you know, which will get you a little bit of something, but I don't recommend that you do $1 a day. If you're looking to get engagement and reach from this campaign, yeah, $1 is not really going to get that for you. And you can, the ad creative, you can't change in Boost Post. So it is exactly what is published on your page. You don't get to change the images or the text or anything like that. It's exactly what, as the post appears. And so the other side to that is actually creating an advert, and Facebook have released a power editor to create adverts. This is completely customizable, custom content, custom images, custom everything. So if you haven't had a look at the power editor for your business page, do yourself a favor, go in there, have a play around, put $100 into a bit of testing. So $50 on one ad, $50 on the other, create your content, add the images, test the images, optimize for bidding as well. And, you know, it does actually do a lot of that automatically for you, which is great. But the biggest benefit of this is the control that you have over the advert and the distribution. So creating your custom audiences, testing the images. You can use the custom audiences like we spoke about before, images. So you can place one image in one ad, image another, and you can actually compare how the images are performing. There are some advanced options in here as well. So the standard advert objectives are like clicks to website, page likes, app installations, and post engagement. But for the power editor, you get a lot more specific. So you can go for page post engagement, which lets you choose whether you want sponsored stories about people liking your post or commenting on your post, or it just gives you so many more options to get your content out there in different forms. And plus you've actually got the option of bulk importing. So if you want to do an A/B test on, you know, some huge and small variations, you can actually do that through the power editor. You can use an Excel template that you can download, put all of your ads in there, and then just bulk upload that straight into the editor, which saves a lot of time. You just need to find out what works for you and what works for your audience. So if you don't get the engagement through boosting posts, then give power editor a try. But if you find that boosting posts actually works for you, then absolutely stick to that and look to analyze and measure a little bit more to see if you've got a little bit more improvement there that you can make. So just pretty much wrapping up now, set yourself some goals and KPIs. So don't just go out there and spend $1,000 on advertising and go, that really didn't work. You don't know that it didn't work. So you need to make sure everything that you're doing, you do actually have a little bit of measurable items next to that, and keeping everything on track and in a place where you can actually find out if what you're doing is actually working. So what we've got here is, increase your brand awareness, looking at your follow accounts and your social profiles and the reach that you're actually gaining, what it was before a campaign and what it is after. So record all of this information down and make sure that you've got a before shot, and then reassess and analyze what it looks like after you've ran the campaign. So, another goal could be driving traffic to your website. Look at the referral traffic from social media or Google. If you're running ads in either of those places, are they actually generating more visitors to your website? Looking at the amount of leads collected. So looking at the amount of online bookings you had before the campaign and looking at how many are after. Sign-ups to any newsletters that you may have. Looking at brand engagement, building a community around your business. So number of comments and likes and tags and things like that are actually happening and increasing the engagement levels within the community on Facebook. And also the last one there is to increasing your mentions. So looking at being able to increase who's talking about you and learning a little bit more about who your potential customers might be. Okay, that's enough. We assess by doing a complete brand review before we look at any type of advertising or SEO or anything like that. So we actually give you a benchmark as to where you're at before we start anything. That's how we work, and that's absolutely how you should always start a project. So have a look at where you currently are, where you want to be, and set some goals and KPIs to be able to get you there. And that's at Allied Health Marketing, that's exactly what we do. So whether that be AdWords, social, we do the whole lot, and we provide a free brand review for anyone who's looking to analyze and have a look at where they're actually currently positioned. So thank you very much, Serena. I'm going to wrap that up there, and I'm completely waffling over time.
That's all right, Chris. Thank you very much. I am going to wrap you up. I'm sure people will have questions around budgets, advertising budgets, but if they perhaps just get in touch with you directly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I can answer any questions. So, you can either have a small budget, large budget, something can be tailored for all budgets.
Great. Alrighty. Without further ado, I will introduce our fourth and final speaker for today, Petra Zink from Impact. So Petra has come from a brand and product marketing background, but looking for a change, stepped into recruitment. So now she could apply her knowledge and experience to talent, attraction and retention. And in addition, Petra loves consulting on personal branding in particular and social media coaching. Very clever woman. I will now pass you over. Thanks, Petra.
Thanks so much, everyone. Hang on, I'll make this one like this. Okay, thank you so much for the introduction, Serena. I will share my screen. All right, are we on? All right, can everyone see?
Not yet.
Okay. Are we there? Can you see the presentation?
No, not yet, Petra.
Okay, let's try this again. Share screen. Oh, here we go. Technical issues all the time. All right.
Something we can all relate to.
Okay. Can you see it?
I think there's a lot of storm action around, so it might just be a little bit slow. There it is. Thanks, Petra.
Great. Okay, thanks so much for the introduction, Serena. Yeah, my background is brand and product marketing, and I got into recruitment about 3 years ago. And because I didn't know how to do recruitment, I simply applied my marketing knowledge, which was mainly inbound marketing and social media marketing, in recruitment. And I'm really glad that I'm now after Chris, and you will hear some familiar terms in terms of the approach on how I'm going about recruitment, the talent attraction and retention, because what I figured out when I applied those strategies, that it actually works. You need to think about your talents as customer. They just buy something different from you. Why it is so important to have a proper talent attraction and retention strategy? When we're looking at the top 3 challenges in healthcare, like most other industries, the number 1 priority in this industry is recruiting highly skilled talents. You can see we have an increased demand in talents, but no increased budgets. It's harder to find the right talents, especially for those niche and specialized roles. And it's also a priority to position a company as a great place to work, because we're dealing with a new generation of skilled workers, Generation X and millennials, who've got a very, very different idea of what a job or a work environment should look like. And it's also, they've got more information than ever before, so it's harder to stand out from all the others. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. We see an aging population, which means the healthcare industry is booming. We need more talents, but we also see the shortage of those skilled workers. In only a couple of years, we'll see a multi-generation workforce. 50% of all workforce will be millennials. And as I said before, they're growing up with technology in their hand. So literally every information about anything and anyone, they can look up in just a swipe or a click away, which means there's much more competition and much more noise out there, which makes it harder to compete to be the best talent place and the best work environment out there. A closer look to this generation. It's a much higher mobility. On average, Generation X and millennials will stay in a role for only a couple of years. Looking at their motivations, 87% say they rate a high professional development higher than just a good pay. And 80% look for the right cultural fit, because for them, a job is not just an ends to a means to pay the bills. It's a lifestyle choice. And before they make any applications, so before they engage with you, like a customer would do, they look up 12 to 16 different sources of information before they even put an application to you, which is a lot. So where would they usually go about finding this information? You can see most of them are word of mouth. So it could be from current work colleagues, they could ask friends, they could ask families, previous work colleagues, but then the next big part is already online forums and online newsletters and blogs. And here's the thing, with the internet, word of mouth becomes word of mouth. We know there's nothing more powerful than a word of mouth recommendations. And what do you do first when you need a new service, a new product, if you want to hire somebody? You ask somebody you know and you trust if they know of anyone. And it's the same, and once we hear a name or once we start our consideration phase, what we do is we Google them. And in fact, 65% of all internet users say that the online resources are the most reliable resource when it comes to information. So even though people don't necessarily know all these people in person, they still trust them as a reliable source. So the question is what to do about this. Well, that's the point. We need to think like a marketer and be part of their entire recruitment life cycle. Because in the end, as I said, your human resource is the most important resource in a practice, because you cannot grow without proper staff, without the knowledge and the skills, and most importantly, with a good cultural fit. Because people and your patients come to you because of your services, but they return because of people, because they enjoy being where you are. So it's really, really important to build a network of professional talents around you that support your vision, your personality, and can deliver great service. So looking at this recruitment life cycle that I mentioned before, as Chris also mentioned, before somebody engages with you, they go through different stages. So let's assume a talent is already aware of as a job change. So they want to have a new role, they move somewhere else, they want to step up in their career, so they are aware of it. The next phase would be the consideration phase. They take different opportunities in consideration, see what's out there, do a little research, ask people, read magazines, attend conferences. And that's where it's not a critical part. You want to make them become really passionate about your brand and your practice to work there, because if they are emotionally attached, they will give not 100% but 110%, which you want. So you want to create this desire phase that they really, really want to work with you and ultimately put the application in. Oh, what happened here? And how I always go about, as Chris does the same with his marketing for external clients. The first part is to create a strategic plan to lead the way, because you don't know where to go if you don't have a direction. So firstly, if you have a goal, what you want to achieve with your practice, you need to assess which talent you need, but also assess what kind of talents you already have in the practice, and then prepare a succession plan in the recruitment, but also in the retention strategies and how to go about it. Fill the gaps in the talent space that you need to fill, but then also constantly monitor, evaluate, and improve your recruitment process and the retention. How you go about the ideal candidate is exactly the same as defining the ideal client. You want to have a high potential employee who's got all the right mix between aspirations, abilities, and the engagement. And you want them to step up into more senior roles. You want them to be more capable in 6 months, 12 months, 2 years time to grow with you, because also you and your practice will grow in your skill sets and the offering and the standard. And what we want to do is we want to have this big group of talents who are actively engaged. They want to have a new challenge, but they're unaware and disengaged with your brand and your practice. What we want to do is, like the external marketing, is we want to move them to a smaller group who are considering your practice, to an even smaller group of people who desire to work with you and then eventually apply and work with you. And how are we going to do about it? Well, we need to constantly communicate with those active candidates, but then also don't forget to engage with the passive candidates, because not everyone wants to change jobs all the time. But if they want to change or even just consider the change, you need to be in top of mind when it comes to the next practice and the next job opportunity, that they put their application to you and not to the practice next door. There are some studies around the most effective recruitment strategies for health sector, and you can see 43% use social media to see opportunities and also get information about different opportunities in practices, in hospitals, with individual practitioners. But then also meetups and conferences is a very powerful tool to recruit those talents, because again, people buy off people because they like them and they trust them, and you already have a relationship with them if you meet them in person, or if your employees meet them and share their story. And that's the next big part. Even just blog posts without knowing them in person, and video interviews from employees sharing their story, what it's really like to work in the practice, what kind of clients and patients you're working with, what's the social environment like. That's what the future talent wants to know. And looking at millennials and Gen Z, they're growing up with technology. So they don't want to be told, they want to be shown. And in fact, 94% of all healthcare professionals jump on different social sites before they put an application in, just to make sure they resonate with the practice, they resonate with the values and the employees that they are there. It's not just a job anymore, it's a career and a lifestyle for them. And the thing is, we trust people, but we don't trust them straight away. And depending on where we are in the recruitment and the purchase decision cycle that we are in, we want to get different information. So from the, I'm aware, I want to have another job, but I'm not sure where to go, that's the cold phase. So they want to have different kind of informations. They don't want to be bombarded with branded content all the time, but they want to have an overview of what the general environment looks like, and have the information from trusted resources, independent resources, not necessarily from you. But once they get a little bit warmer and are more engaged with you, your brand, your offers, your practice, they want to have a little bit more insightful information. And also, they want to have this information on different channels. As I said before, 12 to 16 touch points. That's what it takes before your talent will put an application in. So you need to be where they are, and you need to provide the information that they want, depending on where they are in their decision phase. And that's the power of inbound marketing. You want to put information out there that gets people to come to you rather than you needing to outreach to those cold talents or very, disengaged talents. And one of the biggest challenges I mentioned at the very first slide was not just finding and recruiting the right talent, but also building a strong employer brand. Because again, millennials and Generation Z, they don't buy in just a next job, but they buy in a lifestyle. And the brand is, most importantly, it's not a logo. It's a sum of experiences and a promise delivered to your clients, your patients, but also your staff. It's the way that others perceive you and your practice and what you stand. It's not what you say it is. So you want to build a strong brand that is emotionally engaging with future talents, that they desperately want to work with you, to again give the 110% and stay with you for long, to reduce your hiring and recruitment costs. And here's the thing. People don't buy off your what, but they buy off your why. And there's nothing more unique and powerful about you than your story. How did you come to where you are? What's the story about the practice? What's the values around it? Because values translate into behaviors. And that's where the differentiator is between you, your practice, and your competitor practice. You want to engage with the right people who share the right values that you have, because you don't need to have much explanation. There won't be much conflict either, and that's what you ideally want. The same with the ideal client. Don't forget, you don't want to be everyone's darling, and you cannot be. And it's the same with your future talents. When it comes to leaving jobs, the retention space, the highest percentage leave a practice or a job because of the salary and compensation, which is a big part. But then the next big part is career growth opportunities. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the younger generation grows up with technology, so they can access any information they want in literally a click or a swipe, which means they are also the most educated generation. And for them, career progression and growth, personal and professional growth, is a key factor in deciding whether or not to work with a company, with a practice, with a health professional. But also that goes hand in hand with the relationship to a manager. If you don't have a good manager who is supportive in their development, you've lost the battle with career opportunity growth, which also links into a good environment. Because if you and your work is, what's the word? If it's, see, English is not my first language. I can't think of this word now. If your work is not respected, you won't stay there. And then obviously location and commute is also a big factor. But again, people come in the first instance because what you offer, but they return because of what else is around and what feeling do they get with them. Type of work, what type of work do you offer, and what's the next step from here? Even doctors and health professionals don't want to be in a little niche area all their life. They also want to progress further, become more senior. So what kind of career progression do you offer? And here's the little secret formula to success. Human beings are very inspirational. They want to be inspired, and they want to follow somebody who's got a clear vision that's similar to theirs. So make sure you know where you want to take your practice, because again, you can be the fastest going somewhere, but if you don't know where to go, you're turning the right way anyway. So have a clear vision and share it. Share it on social media, share it through employees' stories, share it through blogs, social media updates, be out there. And also think about the voice, how you want to put your practice out there. Do you want to be perceived as powerful or as empathetic? Do you want to be perceived as warm and aspiring? What is it? How do you translate this vision into those different channels? What work and what better work environments can you offer? What's the career progression path when talent's joining you? What development do you offer on a regular basis? Is it in-house? Is it external? These are all the factors that future talents want to see before they apply and before they join your practice. Otherwise, you might have somebody on board for 6 months, 12 months even. If they don't see they can progress with you, they will leave. And that costs a lot of money. Recognition, that was the word that I was looking before. People need to be recognized for their work. And if they give 100%, 110%, that's a very powerful tool to make them feel very special. And again, that's what you want your talents to feel. Very special and recognized for the hard work they put in. Especially in healthcare, it can be quite daunting and very consuming to be in this environment, more than in some companies where it's just a 9-to-5 jobs. So what else can you provide in a supportive environment to get those people staying with you? Also, think outside the box. Can you offer flexible work environments, part-time work, night shifts? What can you offer to get the best talents? And obviously community at work. How can you make them feel special? Not just you as a manager, not just you as the owner of a practice, but as a colleague. Who else can you bring in? And to finish up, just a few little tips on how to go about recruitment and retention. Firstly, be clear, be prepared, and be selective. You don't want to stuck with those energy suckers who won't stay with you for long anyway. So again, the same with your patients and your ideal clients. Be also clear, what kind of talents do you want in your practice? Who is it that you want to spend most of your day with? What kind of attributes and values do they share? And stick to them. Be transparent. Especially in healthcare, again, it can be quite challenging to work there. So be clear of what kind of patients you're working with, what's the work environments, because there's nothing worse than having the wrong expectations on a role and disappointment. So you want to be upfront and say, yeah, it's not always blue sky, but these are some incentives that we put in place, and just be transparent. Also be open-minded. You don't just hire for technical skills. Of course, it is important that they know what they are doing, but it's even more important that they show the right attitude, because they can learn. So even though you may recruit for a role, a particular role, and you find another talent who does not fit the bill 100%, but can bring something new or a new skill set to the table, is really valuable. Again, 12 to 16 touch points before they apply. So make sure you can be easily found. Be on the channels where your future talents are, and give them the content and the engagement that they're looking for. Recruit proactively. Don't just wait until you have to fill a role, but constantly interview, grow your network, and hire sometimes to have this talent pipeline that you ideally want. And last but not least, it's not just about the money. Yes, it is very important, but it's not the only thing. If you can provide professional and personal development, a great environment where people love to come to work and they don't see it as a job where you have to go, but they are looking forward to come, they will stay with you and they will be loyal, which again reduces your hiring and retention costs. But also make sure you stay up to date with the current salaries, because you need to be competitive. It is a big part, but it's not the only thing. So it's all those little aspects that feed into a successful talent attraction and retention strategy, that we obviously go from startups to large enterprises step by step to ensure the recruitment process is also much faster and much more efficient. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Ideally, what I would start with is a workforce plan. What kind of talents have you got? What kind of talents do you need? And who is your ideal talent to start with before doing anything further?
Thanks so much, Petra. I'm sure there's going to be questions, but we're running out of time. So if you do have a question, please feel free to contact Petra directly. I'm sure she'd be delighted to have a chat with you. Alrighty, so I better close up because it's getting that time. So thank you again to our live attendees and for those that are watching the recording. We hope you have gained some really valuable things from today's session. Thank you again to all of our wonderful speakers. Each session was fantastic and we really, really appreciate your support. So don't forget, today's recording will be, the link for the recording will be available in your inbox very soon. Session 2 for this series, Progressing Your Private Practice, is happening this Thursday live at 3 p.m. till 4:45-ish Brisbane time. So, and that is also available via recording. Alrighty, just quickly, so next session is another 4 speakers, an additional 4 speakers. We have Vanessa from Legal 123, we have Claire from Knowledge Moves, we have Grant from Q Financial, and we have Dr. Jenny Brockis, an interview with Chris, which will be really, really super exciting. And she is from the Science of High Performance Thinking, so look out for that one. Again, Chris and I have many, many plans for 2018, both clinical and non-clinical allied health virtual conferences. So watch this space and check out our website for all the new announcements. Thanks so much, everybody.